So I'm on my phone again. I don't got my laptop. So this is a story animation. That's probably real. I don't know. I'm not them. Okay. Let's just play the video. This has to be illegal in some type of way.
Did you know you have the superpower to change the character of a person? If
No.
you want to know how, you have to like and subscribe to this video, because
That's not
My
even
Story
how.
Animated will give $1,000 to one lucky person who subscribes in the next 7 days. Tell your
that's not
friends,
real.
your sister, brother, and mom to subscribe now. Hi,
That's not
I'm Annie.
real. Why
When
would
I
my-
started
why would
basic
my
school,
mom
I hardly ever talked to anyone. I was so shy and
Put on
quiet that
subtitles.
some of my classmates thought I was a dummy. My kindergarten teacher even told my parents to take me to a doctor and find out what was wrong with me. But Dad completely lost his temper with her.
But wait, hold on. That's
dumb?
Joe.
She is too beautiful for there to be anything wrong with her. Why don't you save your advice?
No, hold up a minute. Wait.
Doctor and find out what was wrong with me. But Dad completely lost it.
Excuse me, this would be against the law. He just stole this from something. Never mind. I'm not making fun of this channel. I'm not. Just want to say that. I'm not.
Temper with her.
Are you dumb? She is too beautiful for there to be anything wrong with her. Why don't you save your advice for some other real dumb kid?
But no matter what, my
Wow, so you
shyness
calling
just
every
didn't go
kid
away.
dumb?
I didn't talk much to my classmates, and they thought I was a snob. As if. Once when I was in the first grade,
No, you're
some
just
of
a quiet
my classmates
person.
asked me to share my candy with them, but I just
No.
stared back at them and didn't reply. Who do you think you are, you dumb girl? I said give us candy. I didn't say a word and started walking away. They got
Hey,
angrier
yo.
and circled me. Suddenly I opened my mouth and let out an ear-splitting scream. They were so shocked to actually hear my voice that they just stood there stupidly, and I managed to escape. But at home I was a completely different person. I was
Wait, so when they call on her to do stuff, she doesn't say anything? Okay.
super chatty and an awesome storyteller. In fact, sometimes my parents begged me to stop talking because I was giving them headaches. Once I kept them awake all night telling them a story I had in my mind about some princess. And because I didn't know how to write well, they spent all night writing it for me. It ended up about 90 pages long.
I will do this every night, sweetheart. I can't believe I have such a beautiful daughter in my life.
Dad just
I wouldn't. I'm
worshipped
just
me
kidding.
because I was pretty. Mom was different and loved me no matter what. I was still too shy to talk outside my home, but people never stopped trying to become friends with me. And I know why now. It's only because they thought I was cute. But I had
Dude, you're literally not going to believe this, but I give 0 fucks! Literally 0 fucks! Literally!
But I had to admit, I kind of liked it. When I was in the 3rd grade, one boy threw a piece
That's
of
funny.
paper at me that said, "Your smile makes me happy, but your words make me happier." Can I hear them? I blushed.
No.
And from that moment, I tried to talk more. So I made new friends and also started taking part in different school activities, but still without talking much. When I was in the 8th grade, my parents helped me publish my first short novel. But it was a failure and people didn't like it. I got sad. Dad didn't take it well and sued the publishers, saying it was their fault. But
It's
of
not
course,
their
he
fault
lost
that
the
you
case,
can't-
And I decided to take a break from
No.
writing. Until one morning, when our class teacher walked into the classroom with a tall, athletic boy. It really looked
Okay,
like
we're
the boy
back.
wasn't too happy to join us.
But look how this
Everyone,
dude is
welcome your new classmate, Peter. Peter had a deep frown and a
I
stupid
mean, oh.
smile at the same time. He had this funny Grinch face. The teacher told
They-
Peter to take a seat
bro,
right next to me,
again
and I
with
gave him
that,
a friendly
like-
smile.
That's the ugliest smile I've ever seen. Have you heard of toothpaste? I can buy it for you if you don't have money. You can pay me back, maybe with a kiss?
Oh, wow. I was about to respond when the
That don't make any complete sense. What? How you gonna say they? Huh? That doesn't make any complete sense. What? Were you trying to compliment this person, or were you trying to like? They stupid. No. This has to be the dumbest bully I've ever seen in my life. No.
teacher started the lesson. It was a French lesson, and he looked completely blank. Hey, do you need any help?
From you? You don't look very smart. And I don't need help from a girl when I can use Google Translate on my phone, so buzz off.
What a jerk. The next day when the teacher returned the
How has that
assignments,
been?
Peter looked really angry to see a big F on his.
What kind of dumb school is this? How can Google be wrong?
I took a look at his paper and burst out laughing. That's not even French, you idiot. You translated the whole thing to Spanish. He crumpled up his assignment into a ball and threw it at my face, but I couldn't stop laughing. Boy, how could someone be this stupid? I figured out soon enough that Peter wasn't interested in learning or making friends. Eventually, the whole school realized that Peter was just interested in bullying others. Sometimes he would snatch
Because he
students'
doesn't-
lunch and threaten to beat them if they reported him. I was one of those unlucky students.
That don't make any complete
But after
sense.
the third time he did it, I reported him to the principal, and he was put in detention. You should know your. After the
My
third
bad.
time he did it, I reported him to the principal, and he was put in detention. When Peter returned from detention, he looked straight into my eyes.
You are going to pay for this.
Well, you should
Boy,
know your
I oughta-
limits. If you ever try to bother me again, I
Nothing.
swear you will regret it, and I might even tell Dad.
Aw, Daddy's daughter. Look at me. I'm so scared. Oh, Mommy, hug me.
Once he tried to knock my books out of my hands when suddenly a bunch of boys behind him came and said,
Dude, why are you being like this with a pretty girl like her?
"Wait, what? So if I wasn't pretty, that would be okay?"
Well, pretty girls deserve special treatment, you know? So now we're all here to stop him. He can't annoy
Alright, this
pretty
story is not
girls.
real.
Well, thanks for your caring, but girls can defend themselves. And I pushed through them and left.
Told you guys, girls are crazy, especially the pretty ones. Now get lost, all of you, or else.
This Peter did whatever he wanted. It
Oh,
seemed he wasn't afraid of
he
anyone,
is
not
not
even
even-
the principal.
Never
I
mind.
really hated him. One rainy day, Peter came to school completely drenched, and it seemed like he'd fallen sick. He was shivering nonstop, and the principal said he'd call his parents to take him home. But to everyone's surprise, Peter screamed,
No, I'm fine. I don't want to go home. Please let me stay.
"You have to go home and rest."
No, I don't. I could run a marathon right now. Just some water and I'll be good to go.
With
Well, no
that, he
real
picked up
kid
the
would
glass
ever
with
say
his
that.
trembling hands and suddenly
Or
dropped
would
it
they?
all over my assignment. Later at recess, I found him huddled on the bleachers, and he was hugging a worn-out teddy bear. Dude, is that a stuffed toy?
Don't insult Mr. Smith.
Oh, he has a name? Is he like your little baby? Is he adopted or did you give birth to him?
Shut up. Can't
Wow,
you leave
that
me
is so
alone?
funny. You
You're
got the
sick
whole
and you
entire
need to go
YouTube
home.
laughing.
You look much prettier when you're quiet. Now stop acting like you care.
Ugh, why do you have to be like this? I'm trying to be nice.
Who asked you? Mind your own business.
As soon
Well,
as
it's
he was
obvious
fine,
that he
went
likes
right
you.
back to being the jerk he always was. I started writing about him in my notebook. Peter was such an interesting person for a villain. I couldn't believe that having someone as horrible as him in my life was actually making me want to get back.
Yo! Bro, This is from JoJo Bizarre's Adventure. Or JoJo Bizarre's Adventure. I'm done.
To writing. One day when I was leaving the
literally just-
cafeteria, Peter
okay.
blocked my way and demanded that I give him my lunch. "We're not in kindergarten, idiot, and I ate it. And I'm not afraid of you. Now shoo." As I walked past him, he
Bro,
suddenly
I'd be like,
pulled up
"Ah,
my
throw it
bag
up.
and
You want it
everything
still?"
spilled out. A couple of boys immediately ran over to help me, and I gathered my stuff and left angrily. What an immature jerk. When I went home, I found out that my notebook was missing. I rushed straight to the locker the next morning and was going through all my stuff frantically when I heard Peter behind me.
Okay, you
Looking
didn't do
for
all that
this?
stuff.
"Give that back, you jerk!" He threw it at me, giving me that stupid smile of his.
Got what I needed.
And with that, he walked away. I had no idea what he was up to, but I found out soon enough. Later that day, the whole school was gathered in the gym for a lecture on fire safety. As we stood waiting around for it to start, suddenly Peter jumped onto the stage and tapped the mic for everyone's attention.
While we are all gathered here to talk about our safety in school, I just want to say
that this is not real, and a kid would do this, or you know what? No, a teenager would definitely do this. But like, if they want to get expelled, then yeah.
I don't feel safe at all. How can I when I have a stalker right here?
Oh, no, no, no! Just then, the large screen behind him
That
flickered and
bruh. Never mind.
images from my notebook showed up. As the sketches and the things I'd written about him flashed on the screen, I wanted to disappear.
And it's none other than the girl everyone adores, Annie. She's obsessed with me. Guess just 'cause you're pretty on the outside doesn't mean you can't be a total creep inside. So everyone be careful. You might wake up someday to find yourself a villain in her novel. She's cuckoo.
As everyone's eyes turned to me, I could feel panic rise in my chest.
But it's okay, sweetie. I can still be your boyfriend. Want to hang out sometime?
As I ran out of the gym, I turned
Wait.
around and said, "You're bad. I hate you." As I walked into the school the next day, my legs were trembling. I just stared down at my feet as I entered the classroom. The lesson started, and when the teacher asked me to read my essay out loud, I just looked down and shook my head. Just as everyone was leaving for the cafeteria, Peter hung back.
Hey,
Oh, she
Annie, are
right
you
back to
okay?
her
If
quiet
this is about
state.
the
Look what you
gym
did, bruh.
thing, everyone knows it was just a harmless joke.
I just stared at him silently with angry tears, and I threw my lunch at his face and walked out of the school. This time he didn't respond and looked a bit guilty. Peter
Why would
didn't
you
come to
walk
school
out
the
the-
next
she
few
said
days.
she walked
I
out
don't
the
know
s-
why, but I actually felt worried. One day he finally showed up. "Hey, I still don't like you, but I made sure to make notes for you when you came back. And no, girls aren't dumb. We can be emotional sometimes, and that's something we're proud of." Just then, to my shock, Peter broke down and started to cry.
Annie, I'm really sorry. I don't know why I'm this way. I just act out because of things going on in my own life.
Then he told me about his family, how his mother had
Oh
passed
my
away when he was
gosh.
6, and he was left all by himself with his stepdad.
He's mean and stupid and doesn't even take care of me. And one day when I'm old enough, I'm going to punch him in the face.
I finally saw why
Bro,
Peter
how old
was
is this
like
kid,
that.
bro? Oh
He was
my
just a
God, they're
frustrated
yelling in the
kid who
background.
needed help. Next day during lunch, Peter jumped on one of the tables and denounced something. Everyone got quiet and listened to him.
Hey everyone, I'm just here to apologize for everything I did to all of you. I still think some of you are weird and I don't like most of you, but that didn't give me the right to treat anyone like that. So, as they say in French, lo siento.
Dude, that's Spanish. Just get down. Everyone burst into laughter and Peter gave me a hug.
Thank you for lighting up my life. I promise I will
Thank
become
you.
a better person.
Hmm.
No, not really. Only under one condition. Make me the irresistible, handsome, great hero in your novel.
Helping Peter become a better person is my greatest achievement. Now he is a medical doctor with a beautiful wife, and he named his child Annie after me. And me, I'm a writer now.
Oh, that was just great. That was great. Let's watch another one. I've been searching for a video this entire time. Let's watch this second video, then I'm done.
I walked into the school cafeteria and looked around me. It was the usual scene. Girls chatting away to each other and boys standing around hoping to look cool. I looked to the far corner of the room and saw that Rosie was sitting on her own. Now was my chance. I quickly went over to where she was sitting. I wanted to speak to her before she was joined by her friends. "Hi, Rosie. What are you up to?"
Oh, hi there, Sam. Nothing much, just waiting for my friends.
this is what they have
Rosie,
Yes, Sam?
well, I was kind
Stuttering
of
much?
wondering, you know.
No, I don't know.
Well, I was
can't be
wondering if
talking.
you would like to go out on a date.
No.
There, I had finally plucked up the courage to ask out my crush. I held my breath and waited for her to answer.
Yes, I would love to go on a date with
Her
you.
Majesty
I
says
was
no.
so happy. But as I gave Rosie a big smile, something awful began to happen. First, Rosie's face started to melt away. And then
Excuse
her
me?
head fell off. Ah!
What?
I started screaming. Then
Hey,
I
do a
looked
bit of
around
screaming
me and
that.
saw that my other classmates were glitching out. Some were walking into
Glitching- oh,
walls,
what is this
like in a
for?
video game, while
I
others
broke out
were
of my
flying
life
through the air.
simulation. Okay.
I had no idea what was going on, but I wasn't going to wait around to find out. I let out another piercing scream and ran out of the building. As I ran through the streets towards my home, chunks of the world around me began to disappear, leaving behind a dark abyss. All I had wanted to do was hang out with Rosie. Was that too much to ask? When I eventually made it home, I ran inside to find my parents. They were standing in the kitchen, their backs to me. "Mom, Dad!" They turned around when I spoke. What I saw made my blood turn cold. They had no facial features, just blank skin. Ah! But
Well, you're
before I go
probably
on,
just having
make
a
sure you
lucid dream
like
then.
and subscribe, and hit that notification bell, or you might end up living a life like mine.
Whoa. We don't lie. We don't lie in order to get that. That's not how that works. That's not gonna actually happen. Don't do that. You don't have to.
I suddenly woke up and looked around me. I was in a life simulator, and I was attached to some kind of machine. Sparks were flying out, and I could smell smoke coming from somewhere. I had no idea where I was or what was going on. I was just about to get up when my parents suddenly appeared in front of me. Mom, Dad, what's going on? Why am I attached to this machine? But instead of answering my questions, they took out an injection and stuck it into my arm. Within a few seconds, I felt my eyes drooping, and I
If
lost
you were
consciousness.
attached, why didn't
I
you
opened
just...
my eyes and looked around me. I was in my bedroom. Wow, that was a weird dream. I got dressed and went downstairs to the kitchen where my parents were eating breakfast. You're not going to believe what I dreamt last night. I told them all about my dream.
Oh, you silly thing, Sam. You have such an imagination.
When I arrived at school, the first person I saw was Rosie.
Okay.
Well, I guess if I succeeded in my dream, I might as well see if it'll work in real life, too. I went over to Rosie. Hi there. Say, I was wondering, would you like to go out on a date with me?
Yes. Okay then. Sounds great.
I waited for a second. I almost expected the world around
Ew,
me to
what
start
is this?
glitching.
Ew, I don't like this angle. This is the ugliest angle I've ever seen.
Just as it had in my dream. But nothing happened. I smiled at Rosie. So how about the movies on Friday night?
Yes, sure. See you on Friday.
Our date at the movies was the first of many. It wasn't too long before Rosie and I were dating seriously. I loved her so much.
Well, that's
We had so
obvious
much
too.
fun together.
Perfect.
After we graduated high school, we both found really good jobs. I was determined to save as much money as I could so that we could get
That's not how
married
you
and buy
save
our
money
dream
anymore.
house. Once I had enough money put away in the bank, I knew that it was time. Let's go out for a nice meal this weekend, Rosie. We haven't had a nice treat for ages.
Oh yes, that would be really nice.
And buy yourself a new dress, too. I handed a bunch of notes to Rosie. It's my treat.
Oh, Sam, you do spoil me.
We arrived at
Don't
the
she have her
restaurant, and the
own
waiter
money,
showed us
though?
to a table in the corner. I had specifically asked for a quiet table. We ordered our meals and a glass of wine each. To us.
To us.
Rosie and I clinked our glasses together. I could feel the butterflies in my stomach as I looked into her eyes. I reached
Yep,
into my
that's
pocket
definitely
and took out a box.
butterflies.
Rosie looked at me questioningly. I got down on one knee. Rosie, will you marry me?
Yes, Sam. Of course I'll marry you.
Everyone in the restaurant started cheering as I slid the ring onto Rosie's finger. Our wedding day was the best day of my life, and straight after our honeymoon, we moved into our dream home. It wasn't
Okay,
long before
you're
Rosie
moving
was
way too
pregnant with our
fast. Where
first
you-
child, a little boy.
Bro!
He was followed a couple of years later by twin daughters. I honestly couldn't believe how lucky I was. We
This
had the
is
perfect
too
family.
perfect.
As the years went
And
by,
this is
we watched
too
as our children
fast.
grew up and became adults themselves. Eventually, they all got married and left home. Our house felt quiet without the constant chatter of our children, but it was nice to have Rosie to myself. When we became grandparents, the house was filled with noise again, but it wasn't constant. We had moments of silence too. When I looked back on the life I had spent with Rosie, my heart filled with
Which
joy.
was way
Everything
too fast.
was perfect.
Too
But
fast.
one day, all that changed. The day had started off pretty normal. Rosie and I had just finished our breakfast and we were clearing away the dishes when I suddenly had an urge to go for a walk. It's a gorgeous day, Rosie. Why don't we go for a little walk to the park?
That sounds like a lovely idea, Sam. I'll
Aren't
just
y'all
go and
old?
change my dress.
We took a slow
Never
walk
mind.
down to the park. Some children were kicking a ball around and dogs were running around playing. We were just approaching the lake when something caught my eye. I could see that there was something on the water. It was a boat, but it seemed to be glitching. Rosie, can you see that boat on the lake? Does it look weird to you? Rosie didn't answer. I turned to look at her to see if she had seen it too. But where her face and her beautiful brown eyes had been was nothing but blank
But those
skin.
are blue.
Ah! As I let out the scream, I suddenly remembered my dream from long ago. But if it wasn't a dream, what if it was real? What if this right here isn't real? I could feel the panic rising up inside of me. I grabbed
So
hold
his
of Rosie and
parents
started
are
shaking her.
just-
I was trying to get her back to normal, but nothing worked. Then chunks of reality began to disappear. A bit of the lake, a cloud, the sun, the sky, and buildings. Then the ground began to disappear too. I felt myself falling into the dark abyss beneath me. When I woke up, I was back in the life simulator, but this time my parents were standing around me and they were shouting. The machine didn't seem to be working. They were obviously trying to repair it, but nothing was working. I heard my
Why are
mom's
they
voice.
doing this?
You have to save Sam.
My dad removed me from the simulator and carried me away. What's happening? You have to explain to me what's going on.
Nothing's
up with
going on,
those?
Sam. Nothing.
Mom and Dad and I ran out of the
Nothing is
house and
going
into
on.
the streets. Just as we got outside, I heard an almighty explosion. As I looked behind me, I could see that the machine had exploded and the whole house was engulfed in flames. As we
Wow.
stood there in front of the house, watching it burn down, I heard the sound of sirens in the distance. A few minutes later, a police car pulled up
Police.
beside me. But when the policeman got out of the car, his face fell in shock.
You're the lad from the posters, aren't you?
I had no idea what he was talking about.
You've been missing for a year. You'd better come with us. We've got some questions for you.
As the police led me to their car, my mom whispered in my ear.
Don't say anything about the life simulator.
I looked at my mom. I felt so unsure about what to do. I was confused about what had been going
I
on.
tell them everything.
When we got to the police station, they took me
They not
into
my
an
real
interview
parents,
room.
and I'm telling them
So where have
everything.
you been for the last year, Sam? We've searched
been in a
high and
life
low for
simulator.
you. We couldn't find any trace of you anywhere.
I'm sorry, I don't think I can help.
What do you mean you can't help us? Are you trying to pervert the course of justice?
No, of course not.
What do you mean
This
you
dude
can't
is
help us?
protecting
Are you trying to pervert the
criminals.
course of justice?
I couldn't tell the police about the life simulator because that would get my parents into trouble.
Well,
That's not even your
explain then.
pick.
How did you manage to disappear without leaving any trace of you behind?
I decided that I would put my trust in my parents. I'm sorry, I have no memory.
Oh, come on, Sam. Did you really expect us to believe that?
But it's the truth, honestly. You have to believe me.
Okay, so let's assume we believe what you're saying. How did you manage to just turn up at your parents' house today?
I just woke up in the woods and walked back home. The
That's a
policeman
lie.
looked at
Oh
his
my
colleague.
God.
I could tell that he didn't believe what I was saying.
And what about the fire at your house? How do you explain that?
I don't know, I guess it must have been a gas leak or something. The policemen looked
That's
at me
not how it
uncertainly.
works.
They appeared to be suspicious of what I had said, but they had no choice but to take my word for it.
Stay here whilst I go and speak to a senior officer. Then I will let you know what we are going to do with you.
I sat in the room listening to the clock on the wall ticking the minutes away. After what seemed like an hour, but was actually only 10 minutes, the door opened and the policeman came back in.
Okay, Sam, as we don't have any other evidence, we're going to accept your explanation. You now.
Thank you. I left the police station and went straight to my grandparents' house. I knew that my parents would already be there. I went inside and saw my mom and dad sitting on the couch. What is going on? I demanded to know. This is my life, you know. You can't keep it from me any longer. My parents looked at each other and Dad nodded.
Okay, Sam, I guess you deserve to know the truth. Your mom and I had been conducting an experiment with a life simulator, and you walked into our experiment room. You accidentally hooked yourself up to the machine.
We couldn't unhook you because we thought it might kill you.
They went on to tell me that they had let me stay on the life simulator for a whole year. But I remember waking up from the simulation. Then you injected me with something and I was back in the simulation. Why didn't you unhook me then?
We were scared to
Exactly,
unhook
like-
you then because it might have killed you. Your mind was half in the simulation and half in reality.
I was shocked when I heard what they had said. I had lived a whole life. I had reached 80 years old, and now I was a 16-year-old again. I had to live my life all over again.
I'm sorry, Sam, but you're going to have to go back to school.
What? This is crazy. I can't do it all again. But I had no choice. So the following week, I went back to school. The first person I saw was Rosie. My heart flipped when I saw her. She was the love of my life. I thought about the life we had led together. All my memories of our wedding day and our children came flooding back in a flash. I wondered if Rosie would remember me too. But how can she? That life never happened to her. It was crazy to think that I had been married to her for almost 60 years, but she didn't even know who I was. I decided that I had to get her back into my life. I strode straight over to her. Rosie, will you go out with me?
No.
I waited for what seemed like an
Her
eternity.
Majesty says no.
Inside, I was praying that she would say yes. When she heard my words, she turned away from her friends and looked straight at me. For an instant, I imagined that she was remembering our life together. But then, she opened her mouth, and what she said next broke my heart into two.
No, Sam, sorry. I don't want to go out with you.
Oh, well, I'm done with this. I'm done.